We are back with another week of Premier League predictions. This time it's game week 2 and we have some standout games like Newcastle versus Liverpool. It's going to be huge. Also Man City versus Tottenham. So 2 very big games and we're going to predict them probably towards the end. Anyway, let's get straight into the video. If you do enjoy the video, don't forget to drop a like. First off, we have West Ham versus Chelsea. This game surely goes one way in my opinion, so let's get started with West Ham. They have started this season quite horribly so far, if we're being honest, losing their first game 3-0 against a newly promoted side in Sunderland. With that loss, it brings them to 19th place in the table at the moment, which is not exactly the ideal start they want for the club. But the keeper Hermansen, he had quite a tough game, if we're being honest. The defense was awful as well. Bowen, he looked like the only one that was trying to do something as per usual. On to Chelsea. They have started the season not bad, drawing the first game against Crystal Palace, which is obviously a strong opponent, and they have shown quality recently as well. I was expecting Palmer to really show up in this game, but he did not do too well. A fun fact is he's actually not scored a goal from open play since January. That is insane. Estavio had a cameo. He looked pretty good, but a few of his shots were absolutely into rosy. It might take a few games to get back to how they were playing at the end of the season last season, so just give Chelsea a little bit more time. But I think in this game they're gonna win it 2-0. Moving on to Man City versus Tottenham. Now, this is probably one of the biggest games we have this week. This game, as usual, always provides. It always has goals and has quality all around from both teams. So let's get started with Man City. They have started the season very well. To be fair, so far, after one game, they look like the best team in the league at the moment. They secured a very solid 4-0 win against Wolves as well. Haaland getting in there with scoring a brace. I'm not surprised he scored a brace. This guy is just a natural goal scorer. Reinders was incredible in that match, a goal and assist, but his movement as usual was a standout. He just kept on making runs forward when they were attacking. Now Ait Nouri against his former club was solid defensively while also supporting offensively a very solid player. They got a very solid left back on their hands there. On to Tottenham. They have started this season very well, I can't lie, winning 3-0 against a Burnley side who were defensively solid last season. Richarlison got a brace, which is absolutely crazy. He scored a bicycle kick. This guy pulls that out of his bag almost once a year, for being honest. But I did not watch the game, but I heard Kudus did ball out. I knew whoever would get Kudus would have a absolute baller on their hands. Now Spurs look like a better team this season, attacking wise and even defensively. They have the backline of Van de Ven, Romero. They have Udogi, who is injured, but Spence, and also Pedro Porro. I could see them doing a lot better this season. Even though I am an Arsenal fan, I don't really want them to do well, but I do see them doing fairly well this season. Now my prediction is going to be a 2-2 draw between the two. Moving on to Bournemouth versus Wolves. This game could be quite the interesting one. So let's get started with Bournemouth. They have had a rough start to the season so far, losing their first game 4-2 to Liverpool, which is a tough match. You're literally facing off against the champions now. Semenyo got them back into the game when they were actually 2-0 down. He made it 2-2 with 2 amazing goals. What a unbelievable winger he is. Physicality, he's got it. He could score, he could assist, he could take on a player as well. This is a player I would love Arsenal to get, but it's very unlikely. But I don't understand how no other club has gone for him this summer despite him signing a contract. Apart from Semenyo, Bournemouth did struggle quite a bit. Now on to Wolves. They have started this season on a bad note. Man City whooped them 4-0 in their last game. They could not get much going against such a strong City team like that. And they have lost Ait Nouri, and Cunha, so they gotta play more as a team now. Strand Larson had quite a few chances, but he couldn't put them away against Man City. Defensively, Wolves do need to fix up this season as well, so let's see how they do in this match against Bournemouth. Now my prediction is going to be a 2-1 win for Bournemouth. Now moving on to Burnley versus Sunderland. This game could be very good, honestly, considering they played each other in the championship. This could be, I think, possibly a high scoring game. So let's get started with Burnley. They have started the season not very well, losing their first game, as we mentioned before, 3-0 against Tottenham. In the championship, they actually only conceded 15 goals throughout the whole campaign, and so far they have conceded 3 goals in the Premier League. But Premier League is different, so some tactical changes need to be made for Burnley, and they had some chances where they were quite weak. They had some shots that were weak as well. They really need to shoot with more power. They did not have many clear-cut chances, but it's only the first game of the season though. So on to Sunderland. They have started the season very well so far, getting a 3-0 win against West Ham, which is huge. I had a feeling the Sunderland team would do very well, and it looks like there's something special, and so far they're doing well. The signings seem to be doing very well together as well, and I feel like this is a underrated team and we need to keep an eye on them this season. Definitely, they have made signings like Xhaka, Adingra, Talbi, very good worth for their money as well, and Sunderland look like the better team definitely in that game against West Ham. Now my prediction is going to be a 3-1 win for Sunderland. Brentford versus Aston Villa. This game should be a fairly good one, so let's get started with Brentford. I mean, it's been quite rough for them starting off, losing their first game 3-1 against Forest. This team will be a different kind of team this season, especially with them losing Mbuemo, Norgard, and also their manager Thomas Frank has obviously gone to Spurs, and Wissa is also trying to really force a move to go to Newcastle, so they will have to kind of rebuild the team a little bit once again. Onto Aston Villa. They started the season not too bad, honestly, getting a decent 0-0 draw against Newcastle, but that Newcastle team is without Isak, by the way, so not a lot happened in that game. Honestly, Konsa got a red card for pulling Gordon back on the counter. Literally, Gordon was running past him and Konsa just fully pulled him back, and that's a red card all day of the week. Newcastle were by far the better team. They dominated that game, and Villa struggled very hard in that match. Now my prediction is going to be a 2-1 win for Aston Villa. Moving on to Arsenal versus Leeds. This one should be a interesting one. I better not see Arsenal lose this game. If they lose this game, I am gonna be fuming. My head's gonna be on Mars, bro. Let's get started with Arsenal anyway. They have had a decent start to the season, winning 1-0 against Manchester United at Old Trafford. Now, my word, what a horrible performance we had. Offensively, we got nothing going, scored off a corner. That's our only goal that game. And literally, the fans were singing set piece, ole ole. It was a set piece goal, but Gyökeres was making so many runs, ready to get in behind Odegaard, and others just did not see that. They just did not make the pass. The positive thing though is we got the clean sheet, but attacking wise, we need to really adapt into playing with a striker once again. Now on to Leeds United. They have also started this season quite well, winning their first game 1-0 against Everton, who struggled. Now Leeds offensively, they have also been a very good side. Fully dominated the match against Everton, limiting Everton into only one shot on target. That was a horrific performance from Everton, but Leeds, they got awarded a penalty. Nmecha stepped up and he scored the penalty, but if Leeds could do this often against teams like Everton, they will definitely stay up. Now my prediction, it's going to be a 3-1 win for Arsenal. Moving on to Crystal Palace versus Nottingham Forest. This match is going to be a good one, so let's get started with Palace. They have started the season not too bad, honestly, getting a 0-0 draw against a in-form Chelsea side, I would say. Now, Eze scored a great free kick, but it was disallowed to put them 1-0 up, and I believe Palace will continue to do well this season, especially if they manage to keep those key players that have really helped them this season. So like Eze, Guehi, Wharton is a huge player for Crystal Palace, but definitely we gotta keep an eye out on this team. I think they will do even better this season. Now on to Nottingham Forest. They have started the season very well, picking up a little bit of how they left off last season. In the first game of the season, they won 3-1 versus Brentford. Now Chris Wood, once again, getting on the score sheet with a brace. Unbelievable from this guy. He's continuing his form, and somehow they have managed to keep a majority of their players from last season, which is impressive. Elanga is one of those players that left to Newcastle though. But my prediction is going to be a 2-1 win for Nottingham Forest. Moving on to Everton versus Brighton. This game, I could see it being fairly even. So let's get started with Everton. Everton, so far in the 25-26 season, it's been horrible for them. Losing their first game to newly promoted side Leeds 1-0. They had a horrific performance, only getting one shot on target. Defensively, they gave away a penalty, which was Tarkowski blocked the shot, but with his hand. They did not do anything else apart from those events, and I find it interesting that Grealish was actually on the bench. He would have kind of helped out Everton in terms of ball carrying and driving the ball forwards, but David Moyes did not decide to play him, so it's the manager's decision. On to Brighton. They have started the season not too bad so far, getting a 1-1 draw against Fulham in their last game. Now they have lost one of their key players in Joao Pedro to Chelsea. Now Brighton got a little bit unlucky. I would say they had so many chances they could not score against Fulham though. Jorginho Rutter looked like a force going forward, but Fulham robbed a draw in the 97th minute against Brighton. That is painful. I'm sure Brighton fans were absolutely fuming, but my prediction is going to be a 2-0 win for Brighton. Moving on to Fulham versus Manchester United. This game, I could see it being fairly even, so let's get started with Fulham. They have started the season fairly alright, securing a 1-1 draw against Brighton in their last match, and as I said in the last game, they kind of robbed Brighton of a win with that last minute goal from Mooney's. Absolutely crazy. Fulham did not have the best performance as well. Attacking wise, they only had 7 shots and 2 on target, so one of those 2 on target went in from a corner, obviously, and I think they will get better as the season goes on. That's just a typical thing that Fulham do. They get better as the season goes on. Onto Man United. They have started the season not well results wise. In terms of performances, they actually did pretty well, although they lost 1-0 to Arsenal. They should have won that game, if we're being honest. Personally, I'm an Arsenal fan. I gotta admit, they deserved to win that game, but they did not. David Raya literally saved us multiple times, but after Arsenal's goal, they just kept on pushing and trying to score, but could not score as they were not clinical enough. But I gotta admit, Manchester United completely outplayed us in that match. I'm not sure how we got the win, if we're being honest. Sesko had a little small cameo. He could not do really much, and I thought Cunha and also Mbeumo looked quite good in that match, especially Cunha. He was absolutely running that game in the second half. He ran past like 3 or 4 players, was on a breakaway, but wasn't able to score. But my prediction for this game is going to be a 2-1 win for Manchester United. Moving on to the last and final game, Newcastle versus Liverpool. This is probably one of the best games we have this week. This is potentially the game of the week. So let's get started with Newcastle. They have started the season being alright. Now their first game was a 0-0 draw against Aston Villa, but if I'm being honest, they should have gotten the win. Newcastle completely outplayed Villa the whole match. Honestly, they just couldn't finish their chances. That's where they were missing Isak. But Gordon was running in behind and he got taken down by Quinta, who I said before he got a red card. Now Elanga, Salah, he had quite the impact in that game as well, with his pace, threading those balls in behind as well for Gordon was very effective. But once again, they were missing that finisher in Isak, and I don't think he's going to be back at the club. On to Liverpool. They've started this season quite strong, I would say, winning their first match against Bournemouth 4-2. Ekitike having a very solid debut. He got a goal and also assist. Salah, of course, getting on the score sheet. As per usual, he scores on the first game week again. Chiesa scored a absolute banger in the 88th minute to put them up 3-2. Absolutely crazy. Wirtz, he did struggle a little bit if we kind of take a look at it, but we got to give him a little bit more time to adapt into this team. Now, attacking wise, Liverpool flow nicely, but they need to fix up defensively, because defensively they were a bit shaky, because Konate, he was getting lost out there usually against Bournemouth. Like, I don't know where this guy's head was at, maybe at Madrid, just thinking about that move, but I think as time goes on, it may fix up. Now, my prediction is going to be a 2-2 draw between these two. So thank you guys for watching. Hopefully you did enjoy the video. Don't forget to drop a like, comment down below your predictions for these games. Don't forget to subscribe as well. If you do want to check out more of my videos, please feel free to, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.